Jeff Green is a tech billionaire, thought to be one of the richest men. In fact, he has been one of the richest men in Utah, and he used to be a member of the Mormon Church, the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm just gonna keep saying Mormon Church, so I don't have to give that long description. But he recently decided to defect from the Mormon Church, and in doing so, he wrote a scathing open letter to the church's president regarding the social and conservative positions of that church. And so Green says that he thinks most members of the church are good people trying to do right, but that the church is actively and currently doing harm in the world. Now look, I tend to feel that way about most religions, but let's hear him out. He gets into some specifics. The church leadership is not honest about its history, its finances, and its advocacy. I believe the Mormon Church has hindered global progress in women's rights, civil rights, and racial equality, and LGBTQ plus rights. Before I go on, the plus is a thing now, right? In the LGBTQ. Like, I don't know why, but okay, so like no one tells you, things just change, and then all of a sudden there's like a new letter and there's like a new plus or like okay, all right. What does the plus represent? I mean, I'm not trying to be ignorant or hateful. I just want to be clear about that, but what is that? Anyway, he also, by the way, cited how the church exploits their own followers, which a lot of churches do.
Isn't that the point of a church?
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that the entire point?
Exactly. He added that the Mormons are often poor, but they still give to the church expecting the blessings of heaven. Instead, I think the church has exploited its members and their need for hope to build temples, build shopping malls, and cattle ranches, rather than alleviating human suffering in or out of the church. Again, this is a tech billionaire making this statement. I agree with what he's saying about churches, not just the Mormon Church, churches in general, but he's a tech billionaire, and you know, becoming a billionaire usually means that you got to engage in some things that might not be so great to other people. But anyway, putting that aside, Waz, what do you think about this?
Be the change you want to see in the world, homie. You got enough money to get this done. Help your people out. Get them out of the rut that they're in. And you know, it's tough for me. Like I actually have, believe it or not, I have a few friends who are Mormon. And you know, they'll tell you that the church has actually moved in the right direction on a myriad of those topics that were referenced in this guy's statement. But again, this is the church who, it was doctrine that people like me and you know, people like people in my family and where I come from in West Africa, that our skin is dark because we were cursed with the mark of Cain. And I don't know if you know that,
no,
but black people are descended from Cain. In the story of Cain and Abel, the Cain, he's the one that backstabbed and betrayed his brother. Black people are descended from that backstabbing brother. And so for punishment, God cursed us with dark skin. So we are cursed, Anna, for our original sin from our original ancestor, the evil Cain.
Is that specifically a Mormon? Is that specifically a Mormon belief?
Yeah, that's the Mormons. It's the Mormons, but they sort of backed away from that stance in like the 70s, I think. But for like the first 100 whatever years of the church, this was what they believed about black people.
Yeah, it's interesting how the religion kind of like it's so fluid, you know, it's so fluid. Almost seems like it's made up. And yeah, look, no hate. Look, there, as we've talked about, I don't really like being, you know, I'm not like one of those people who goes out of her way to be like hateful. Like people have religious beliefs and I respect their religious beliefs as long as they're not trying to use those beliefs to do harm to others or to dictate other people's lives. So there are plenty of incredible religious people out there who do good in the world. And so I don't want to discount that. But with that said, there are also plenty of people, not just in this country, but across the globe, who use religion as their excuse for doing awful, terrible things to people. And I've got no love for them at all. And I think all of it's made up. I don't believe in it at all. Never have, never will. Well, I don't want to say never have because I grew up going to Sunday school. And when you're a kid and you're like born into a religion, you don't really question it until you grow up and mature. And I'm happy that I did that. But I guess now that you've given me the story of Cain, big ups to this tech billionaire who's making a stand. I mean, he just mentioned the LGBTQ plus community.
Plus.
And civil rights to some extent, women's rights, okay, good. But yeah, I'm really happy that his family also kind of followed him in defecting. So that doesn't typically happen. 11 of his family members also resigned along with him. And yeah, I mean, you should definitely reconsider if there are negative, evil messages being spread through your church or through your religion. I always give a lot of credit to people who are willing to push back against that. Now, Green's next major donation will be $600,000, which will be going to Equality Utah, with the billionaire writing in the letter that almost half of the fund will go to a new scholarship program to help LGBTQ plus students in Utah, including students who may need or want to leave Brigham Young University. So cool, I like that. I also like not having to rely on this kind of stuff. Like, oh, a billionaire wants to do good and donate a certain amount of money for any cause. I think we should have our institutions help people out with these types of things and more. But whatever, I guess support to this guy.
I mean, whatever, bro. Call me when you give Barack Obama $100 million for his personal shrine to himself. Wake me up when you're doing that, big dog. But look, no, seriously, what I will say, as somebody who grew up Catholic, grew up in Catholic schools, and when you're in Catholic school, you learn about the Protestant Reformation, which essentially, you know, long story short, the Catholics were hoarding the information of the Bible because it was in Latin, and they didn't let their subjects learn Latin. So it was all the institutional church hoarding all the information and basically decreeing this is God's will, this is blah, 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 blah. Then finally, you know, people like Martin Luther, et cetera, they learned Latin themselves, got the book themselves, and was like, hold on. It doesn't necessarily mean what these homies are telling us. We could read it this way. We could read it that way. We could basically interpret this any way that we want. So what I would say to anybody that's in any Protestant, you know, sort of denomination or whatever, like the entire point of people splintering from the Catholic Church was that it's up to you to figure out how you feel about this. Don't let no fundamentalists or anybody tell you what that damn book is, the meaning of that book, right? Like the entire point is that you can do that yourself. And so that's what I would say to my Protestant friends.
All right, I like that. I like that a lot. You should definitely read the doctrine that you're, you know, believing in. I think there are far too many religious people in all different types of religions who just kind of like blindly follow a specific church or a specific religion without actually reading the doctrine themselves. So don't just trust someone else's interpretation of it. You should educate yourselves in regard to what you've chosen to believe in, you know? Because I think a lot of people are born into a specific religion and they just kind of go along with it. But once you start reading into it and questioning it, I think that it opens you up to mature thinking, you know, helps you make informed, independent decisions about your personal life and whether or not certain arbitrary religious rules really should apply to you, you know? All right. Go ahead, Was.
No, I just like how you're trying to be nice about this thing that you think is an utter farce and is just ridiculous on its face. I like listening to you be like, you know, maybe, you know, think for yourself and don't be such a freaking robot idiot tool. Maybe, I don't know, try it. I don't know, maybe kind of, okay.
Because I feel like, you know what it is, and I wasn't always like this, but I feel empathy for religious people, like in some cases. So, because the vast majority of religious people, like religion gives them faith, okay? So it gives them hope. Like, think about how hard it is to really be a non-believer, an atheist, right? You lose someone in your life passes. They're like, I don't believe in an afterlife. Like they're gone forever. They're not looking down at me. They're not watching after me. There are no angels like hovering above me and like keeping me safe. Like I don't believe in any of that stuff. But I don't begrudge anyone who does, because that provides comfort, you know? That's what I think about. That's why, you know, my commentary is a little like careful, because I don't want to demonize people, for lack of a better word, who rely on religion to kind of give them a little bit of hope and a little bit of faith. So, and some people do get some good things out of religion.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.